Welcome, Internet, to the PixelPlay Podcast, your weekly podcast where we get together to talk about everything going on in the video game world. I am one of your co-hosts, Kaylan, aka Catastrophe, still dealing with technical problems and lag, so I'm just going to have a still here. I'm also joined by my co-hosts, Adam, CS Radical, and Jin and Chris. This week's episode, we're going to be talking about is GameStop justified in getting the hate that it does? We're going to be talking about the state of play that happened last week, and we are also going to talk about DLC and if we like it, and if it's worth your time and money. I also have an untimely review for Far Cry 6, and we'll talk about that later. First of all, guys, I want to start with one simple thing. I fucked up this week. I fucked up bad.
You did? Wow.
I did. So I finished Far Cry 6, which I was playing last week, and so I was like, I'm going to buy a new video game. And at the same time, my wife, she was like, hey, there's that new Hogwarts game coming out. And I'm like, yeah, there is. So I was decadent, and I bought two brand new video games. I got Dead Space for myself, and I got Hogwarts Legacy for her. And you can see where the trouble is. We have two games, one console, and as parents, very little gaming time. I think I got a total of like 2 hours to play Dead Space, and she played Hogwarts all weekend. So like, it was a bad rookie move.
Yeah, sounds like you need a second PlayStation.
That's what I said. Like, we tried everything, and Jen was like, could we try streaming it through the PS4? Nope, apparently we can't, because she can't stream her profile. It's only mine. I tried through my little gaming streaming, like my the Gamester thing that I have. Didn't work. The same situation, and so I was like, the only solution is we have to buy another PlayStation, and she was not 100% opposed to that. So,
Oh.
I mean, it seems silly because like she plays one game every 2 years, so it seems ridiculous. But I don't know.
But you can play Dead Space.
That's true. Dead Space is fantastic, by the way. Really liking that game. Yeah. How are you guys doing? Other than like, obviously I'm dealing with my own issues. What are you guys up to?
I'm upset.
Why?
The streak's
what happened
broken.
now?
What streak?
My review streak's broken.
You didn't finish a game?
No, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart actually got really boring after 3 hours.
Oh no, I loved that game.
It's such a good game.
I liked it from what I played from it, but like after 3 hours, I got that point that I always fear happens with a game, where you just start playing and you went, I don't know if I really need to play this right now.
Oh, I liked Rift Apart. It was a good game.
Well, it's
Yeah,
fun.
I
It's fun.
liked
I'm not going to sit here and say it's bad. I think it didn't do, like, the story, it just doesn't do anything to get your attention unless you're, like, super into, like, those more, I guess, more family-friendly stuff, but, like, nothing was hooking me. It was the same problem with the remake as well. I think I did finish the remake. I either finished it or I was real close and just never quite got to the end. But, like, same deal. Like, I never felt like the same way that I did with, you know, say, like, a Horizon or a God of War, where there's no stopping me. This was a case of like, well, I'm playing this because I don't have much else to do, so we'll do that. And then went through the first little bit. I enjoyed like going around getting all the collectibles and stuff, and that was good. And then as soon as I started getting between the choice of Ratchet and then Rivet, and depending on which world you want to go to, for whatever reason, it started feeling like, oh, I'm just doing the same thing again, but it's a different world. I just got to go through another set, grab a couple of things, fight another thing, and go to the next one. I didn't feel like there was purpose to what I was doing, and it kind of just killed it for me. And the entire weekend, I've had like a couple of chances to go back and play, and I just haven't had the urge. So it's kind of just been, meh.
So what I'm hearing is that you're finding Ratchet and Clank like kind of boring and repetitive, right?
I'm waiting to hear what the catch is here.
Oh, it's just an honest question.
Okay, well, yeah, basically it's just that.
You play Destiny 2 all the time and do the raids. That's the same thing.
See,
over
I knew
and
there was a
over.
catch.
That was the catch. I was like, there has to be a catch. What is happening?
Like, I'm not that stupid. I mean,
I know. I just had to make sure I had set it up.
Right? I mean, if I compare the two as well, like there is a lot more variance with Destiny in terms of like the gameplay. I feel like is a little more fluid and a little more challenging. Whereas with Ratchet, I found like I was like, there's no specific weapon for any enemy. I found like you just pull out whatever you're using at the time and just throw it at them. So it didn't necessarily feel like there was any strategy to it. It was just keep firing till they die. And it didn't catch. And I don't hate it by no means, but it definitely didn't do enough to make me go, okay, I can do like 6-7 more hours of this. Because I'm assuming it's somewhere around like 10-ish.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere around there. Pretty sure I wait. Did I get the platinum for that, or did I get it for the other one? I don't even remember. But I do
I
remember
think I
playing a
plotted
lot
this
of
one.
it. Yeah, I think it wasn't too difficult. But yeah, I think it's somewhere between like 10 and 20 hours or something like that.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool if you got a youngin that's really into that kind of stuff because that's a super cool game for kids,
Oh yeah.
100%.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
That is like Saturday morning cartoons, the video game in a nutshell, right there.
for sure.
Well, I've been playing a
Chris, how
game
about you?
called Theater Rhythm. I don't even know how to actually say it.
I think it's
Is that
Theatrhythm.
Theatria? I don't know. It's the one where it's like Final Fantasy music as a rhythm game. And there's these like little chibi characters that come out. It's on PlayStation and Switch. This isn't the first one by any means. I remember having one of these games on the 3DS back in the day. So this is either the third or second game in this series, but like I don't see a single difference between this and the last game other than more songs and I guess slightly better graphics. But it's like typical rhythm game where there's actual like dots or whatever going across the screen. Some is just like press a button on the controller, some is press up on the joystick, some and press and hold a button, like very typical like rhythm game kind of thing, but it uses all the base game comes with 350 songs from just all of the Final Fantasy games. Final Fantasy 1 through 15, including a whole bunch of spin-offs that you would not expect there to be music for. My favorite being Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, which was like the first
The
Final
best
Fantasy.
battle theme in Final
Yeah,
Fantasy.
like I love the music in that game so much, and it's on there. As well as like Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy Tactics, some like mobile games. But it's cool because you only get one key at the beginning, and you get to kind of choose the game you unlock to play through that game's music. And halfway through each series, you get another key, which you can then unlock any other one. So you have to pick one, but then as you go, you can fully pick and choose which games you'd like to play and therefore hear the music of. And you actually have like the characters actually attack what's on the screen and everything based on how well you're pressing the buttons and everything, but nobody actually pays attention to that. It's all about like the music from the series being so good and just pressing the buttons in time to the music. It's like a love letter just to the Final Fantasy series and the music and stuff. And oh, it is addicting. Holy crap, is it addicting. I'm trying to like hold myself back. And at first I told myself I don't need the Ultimate Edition that's like $140 because it adds 2 sets of DLC, which will be something we'll be talking about later. And a ton of games they added that aren't from Final Fantasy but are from Square Enix. And oh my gosh, there's like Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross,
Ooh.
Octopath Traveler, Xenogears, Live Alive or Live a Live or whatever however the heck you say that
Yeah, Live
game.
Alive.
Near Automata and Near the Saga series, just everything. The World Ends with You, like everything you think of that Square Enix came out with, they've decided that they're going to add that music now to these games, probably because they ran out of Final Fantasy music. And it increases it up to like 600 songs. So I haven't bought the expansions or anything yet, but I don't think it's going to go well for my wallet when they do come out
All right, we got to
because
go real deep. I got the real question then. Is Radiata Stories in there?
no, if it was, holy, I would have bought the Ultimate Edition. I wouldn't even have waited for a sale. $140 just gone. But yeah, no, there's nothing obscure yet, but I'm sure they want to keep this series going and they'll keep expanding as they go. Because it's a
Like
lot.
the
It
weebest.
seems simple, it is, but it's if you like JRPG music from Square Enix, I mean this game is totally up your alley.
And even with rhythm games in general, those are pretty good. Like I've been playing on and off the Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memories, I think it is.
Yep.
And same kind of deal. And if you're already a fan of the games, like it's just basically like getting to re-listen to the music, and it's perfect for that kind of stuff. And I mean, obviously in Japan, rhythm games are king, so it's no surprise that
Oh
these
yeah.
are keep coming out. And it's starting to catch on a little bit more. Like if you ever go to a convention, you see more and more people are always in the arcades playing all the different rhythm games and actually being pretty good at them now. It's not just, a small thing where it's just DDR and that's about it. Now it's a bunch of different things now.
Yeah. And there's a huge online part to the game that I didn't realize. You actually have to make a profile and you can play against people. And when you do, you actually attach an item to your profile and anyone you play against, or no, sorry, you attach a summon. and whoever you play against, you actually trade summons, and you both get to keep each other's because there's so many variations and stuff. So there's a huge reason to go in and just play with other people online. And yeah, it's a simple game. It's not something I'm gonna like race through and beat anytime quick. It's gonna be something I just kind of relax to when I need to kind of chill.
Yeah, if it's anything like with how I play Kingdom Hearts, you pop in about like 30 minutes to an hour worth of it, and you just kind of chill.
Yeah. Also, I found out I suck at rhythm games. That's a fun thing to find out while
What are
you're
you
trying
talking
to
about?
beat
You
one.
beat Hi-Fi Rush this week.
I did, set on easy. That is also what I'm playing theater, whatever rhythm. I don't know how to say it. It goes normal, expert, ultimate. Like there's no easy, medium, hard. So I'm playing it on normal. I'm like, oh, this isn't so bad. I went to expert. I did survive, and I tried ultimate. I have not passed a single level of 350 songs, so there's no way I will be playing on ultimate, or else the game will not make zero progress. So I think I'll leave it on easy and just chill as I play the game.
And what'd you
But
think
yeah,
of
that's what
Hi-Fi
I'm
Rush now that it's done?
one of the best games I think I played in so long. Like it is just, it's just a heartwarming like Saturday morning cartoon kind of feeling when you play and beat that. So good. Like just everything you said in your review, like fully agree. Fully.
If there's one thing, I don't know how many people, if anybody here, and then anybody watching the video of this podcast or listening to the podcast, if you guys know of Yahtzee Croshaw, aka Zero Punctuation.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
He did a review of it, and the one thing that stood out to me is he loves the game, but he hates the fact that it just proves that video game companies know exactly what we want, but they will never give it to us unless it's out of nowhere.
True.
Because that's the kind of gaming experience that we want consistently, but instead we're getting copy and pasted open world experiences where you got to throw a bunch of money at skins or you got to throw season passes at this. Hi-Fi Rush is like the reminder that we know what you actually want. You're only going to get one of these every once in a blue moon, but we know what we know. And we go, yes. Could you give us more, please?
I think part of it is that like because we don't get it often, that's why that's unique and original and like so. Oh man, this is an amazing thing. It's because we don't get it very often. I think if we did start getting it all the time, then it would start feeling like the same way. Speaking of, companies knowing what we want, this week Sony came out with a state of play for February 2023. I thought we can kind of go over that. What I'm thinking we're going to do is let's do a quick overview. We're not going to go into the games and list that so much, but let's just do an overview of what we thought of the state of play, and then we can kind of talk about stuff that we liked, what we didn't like. So yeah, let's start with you, Adam. What was your general impression of state of play?
I know a lot of people still say that there wasn't anything crazy in it, but like honestly, in terms of what they showed off, I thought they had a pretty good mesh of, games that are going to be a little bit more mainstream. They threw a bunch of VR in there. They threw some indie stuff. Like we found out that I think it's called Chia is going to be part of the extra thing, much like Stray was, which is really cool. Excuse me. But I think they did a fair job of what one of these shows generally is and having some decent stuff. Some of it you already know about, just hyping you up and reminding you that it's coming out, like, say, Destiny 2 Lightfall, Resident Evil 4, reminding you of things like Baldur's Gate 3, which I even forgot about until State of Play this came out. A couple more Street Fighter 6 characters, that's always going to be happening until a fighting game comes out. Any of the major fighting games, Mortal Kombat, which apparently is supposed to be coming out this year. I'm surprised because we still haven't heard anything about it yet. But, like, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, whenever Guilty Gear comes out now, like any of those, you always get like a steady diet of for 4 months straight, just couple characters, just to kind of even out that like 12 to 18 person roster. And then honestly, I guess the only one that I have a complaint about is the Suicide Squad one, because my biggest issue isn't even the live service anymore. It's so wait, I can play as 4 different characters and they all just have guns. What's the fucking point?
We'll circle back to the Suicide Squad. Chris, what was your thoughts overall on State of Play?
I thought it was pretty much like most of the normal State of Plays, where it was, nothing overly mind-blowing, which I thought Sony did a good job of setting expectations in the sense that they actually told us this is what it's going to be. Here's how long it's going to be. It's going to include some VR games and some stuff. Like, don't expect anything like an announcement of a brand new game kind of thing, like a first party AAA, whatever. Like, you're not going to see God of War 3 or something on here. But yeah, it like had some stuff I thought it was interesting. The VR, which made a lot of sense because VR just got released or was releasing that same week. Which of course I think, while is necessary, obviously only so many people are even going to have that VR, so it's more just showing what it's going to do, though a lot of people watching it probably were just, waiting for the VR part to kind of be over, I'm sure. Um, Obviously, you get Resident Evil, Street Fighter 6, stuff like that. It's good to get a bit more info. Nothing overly crazy. We already knew it was coming. Um, Nice to see a little bit more footage. Nice to see a little bit more characters, but kind of just felt like a Nintendo Direct where there's no big announcement. It's just like, hey, here's a bunch of stuff that's coming. Be excited for some stuff that's going to be decent. You probably want to grab some of it, but nothing mind blowing. And the biggest thing on the internet when it was over was just everybody swooning over Cammy from Street Fighter 6. Everybody just went crazy about her on friggin' Twitter. That's the only thing I could see.
I'm
about State of
genuinely
Play when
surprised I
won on
didn't see
Epic.
like a massive amount of like flack because she's not in her onesie anymore.
Yeah, no, people were still thirsting for Cammy. It was all like, I looked up just State of Play, and that was all I got. I was
Oh
like,
look,
whoa,
you still
did
got
anybody
tight
watch
you
any-
still got really tight pants and bit drift, so it's not like they didn't get nothing.
Oh yeah, but nobody posted about anything else that I could see when I
So
searched.
that's what I was gonna say. So where I fall on this, like I was, to be honest, disappointed with the State of Play. This is, I don't even know what the point is at this point. Like nothing was exciting. For me, nothing was exciting. Nothing was, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I've saw this. Like I didn't watch this until 3-4 days later, and there was nothing online. There was nothing was spoiled for me in the sense, I mean, there was some hate for Suicide Squad, and we could talk about that, but there was nothing. No one was talking. Nothing got any traction. Like this came and went like a fart in the wind. Like, what's the point? They're putting time and effort into this. They're paying for marketing for this, and it sucks. No one's excited. Like even me as a Sony fanboy, I'm like, I don't need to see it because I know there's not going to be anything. Like this is the stuff that used to get put into E3s in the middle of the show between the hype of the beginning and the one more thing at the end. And this is like the dead slow period. And now we've cut out the exciting parts of it, and we just have these trickles of. I don't want to put the games down because I mean people are working hard on them, but it's like a display of mediocrity, and it's like why? And the more they do this, the less people get excited for it, right? Like I don't think there was a lot of excitement for the State of Play, and I think people are starting to become not wise, but starting to think like, hey, State of Plays aren't important. They're just, I mean, I don't want to say it's all just commercials, but it's not. There's nothing to be exciting. There's nothing to be groundbreaking on there. So,
I think we can make the argument at this point that State of Play does not need to be streamed anymore. Just drop it on YouTube and be done with it. Because it's not an event anymore. It's not an event. It's just like you said. It's a commercial for a bunch of games. I don't think it needs to be streamed anymore because then it takes away the, something crazy could happen there. There's no reason for the Twitch chat explosion for when something gets announced anymore. Now it's just like every once in a while I'll check one of those State of Plays live, and all it is the Twitch chat just complaining left and right because nothing's there, and it's exhausting. So personally, I don't care anymore. If State of Play just wants to be what it is right now, I'm fine with it because it's just reminder of games that are coming out. It's just getting further in depth looks at stuff. I don't care anymore. It doesn't mean anything to me. When something big gets announced, I'll know whether it's through a State of Play or whether it's through a trailer just dropping randomly by the publisher themselves. I'm at the point now that if Sony wants to do whatever they want, I'm just backing away and just let them do what they want now. If they want to waste money, it's fucking their prerogative now.
Well, I don't understand what the because there's no regularity of this, that it's hey, there's one every month or something where they feel obligated to keep some sort of pattern or rhythm. They're releasing it when they feel like it's ready. Nothing on here screamed, oh my god, we need to show this. The stuff that they had for VR was fine, but none of it made me scream, I need to go out and get a VR headset today.
I mean, I disagree in the sense of stuff that didn't need to be there. Let's be honest, Kill the Justice League is a big deal to a lot of people that isn't in this room.
Here's my thing. Here's my thing though, and we can talk about this in a second. The Suicide Squad, no one came out of that saying, oh my god, that looked amazing. That was the other pinnacle. The two big things were, hey, games are coming for VR, and I would say there was nothing there that really sold me on a VR. And then Suicide Squad came out, and that looked like shit. So what was the big reason that they had to have a state of play right now.
I mean, if you want to argue why it was in the state of play, I'm sure it's because Warner Brothers gave them money and said, "Hey, can you show this off?"
Yeah.
To which
Yeah,
Sony's
that's
like, means nothing to us. If people buy it on our platform or not, we're not losing money if it doesn't sell well. It's money in our pocket regardless. So they don't care.
So they're selling their fans attention, and it's getting to the point where state of plays are going to become meaningless, right? They're going to become, who cares?
Yeah,
right?
but then the argument immediately goes, the second that, I don't know, Uncharted 5 gets announced, or when Last of Us Factions gets announced, everybody's going to be right back to being super on with it again. So, because it's not like, I mean, the argument is not like Microsoft and Nintendo are doing anything to be better. So in Sony's prerogative right now, they don't have to go out of their way to do anything. So if somebody's willing to just pony up some money and be like, hey, go add this to your video package whenever you're going to do another one, so that way we get some more traction here. So I mean, that to them, that's what it is. It's just money's being given to them probably to showcase some stuff, and they're like, all right, we'll put together an hour package for no reason.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to affect anybody, because let's be completely honest, the internet yells about a bunch of stuff. You know, it just means that less and less people like me don't watch the state of play until after it comes out, and I just look through whatever IGN or GameSpot or whoever writes an article just showing what got announced. And that's what I do now.
Yeah. But it runs the parallel that people start getting to the point where they're like, hey, why would I put my game on the state of play, right? Like, if no one's watching it, why am I putting the time and effort to put like a scissor reel together? Especially from a smaller studio who I don't have the attention. Like, it's gonna, I don't know, the vicious cycle, and I feel like the brand is being diluted for it.
I mean, it's arguable that the state of play brand wasn't really that big to begin with.
I think it had potential when it first launched. I think it had potential, and I think they've diluted it to the point that it's just pointless.
Yeah, and we've had the conversation so many times now that like we've said what we think it should be at this point, and they're not doing it. So it just seems like this is kind of the hole we're stuck in right now.
Yeah. So let's pivot to the big game, the one that they kind of I think was the tentpole of this, Suicide Squad. So like quickly, like let's get over like what what your impressions are, what you think of the game. First, I'm gonna start with you. What did you think of Suicide Squad's presentation?
I'm not excited for this game at all. I just got to be honest. It's in the Arkham universe, right? Like you play Arkham City, you play Arkham Knight, and then this is the next one of those, and it just doesn't feel anything like that. It feels like it's using the characters from the universe, but they instead created like an Outriders game with, 4 random Suicide Squad characters going against the Justice League, and it's just like a shoot 'em game, like an arena shooter, and which completely is not exciting for me at all. Just because when I think of the Arkham universe, I think of the Batman beat 'em up style game, and it didn't, like, obviously it changing to a different character, that would have been fine, but to kind of lose one of the few open world games that I actually did enjoy kind of sucks, because there's only so many I actually really like, and this is clearly not going to be one of them.
It's at a point where, with Gotham Knights now as well, just not going over very well with people, and now this, it's like, and everybody was figuring, okay, well maybe this will be good because it's Rocksteady that's behind it. It's at the point now that even if this game is like fun to play, I think I'm done with whatever, like I'm already done with DC movies in general right now. And I'm starting to get to that point that I'm like, I think I'm just done with Warner Brothers in general right now, because I don't think they understand what their audience wants anymore. Or I'm just not the target audience anymore, so I just need to find something else.
Yeah, for me, like this screams generic as hell, and like I feel like between Gotham Knights, Avengers, and now Suicide Squad, like it all feels very the same. There's nothing that distinguishes it at all. Like you've got, like you kind of alluded to it earlier, Adam, like we have 4 different characters, and with the exception of like some minor flavor, like basically Harley Quinn can be Spider-Man and swing across the buildings. Like everyone's floating, everyone's flying, like everyone's flying, everyone's shooting guns. Like there's nothing that distinguishes each one from the other than a few minor tweaks. And the other thing with these like live service games is that like it looks generic as hell. Like you're fighting a bunch of generic generic enemies. Like, oh, here's a helicopter with a little purple orb on it. Here's a cannon with a purple orb on it. Like you're not doing anything exciting. You're just fighting bland, meaningless, whatever.
Checkbox.
Like,
Okay,
I don't know.
we got the
Sorry?
power-ups, we got the guns, we got the enemies with the giant glowing points so you know you got to hit them.
Yeah.
The only thing that was missing from this trailer was a shit ton of numbers on the screen to tell you how much damage you were doing.
Oh no,
Yeah.
there was. They had the division style like inventory system where it's like this one increases it by like 0.3% damage.
Oh no,
And
no,
I'm
no.
just
I
like,
mean like the
nope.
tons of damage numbers on the screen when you're shooting things.
Oh, I'm sure there's a toggle you could press. Don't worry.
Yeah, probably.
Like this just looked generic as hell, and like I can see this flopping, and I don't think more than Avengers, because I think Avengers had a little bit more hype. Like I think the Suicide Squad is C tier, maybe. That like I don't think there's a huge amount of hype like there was for Marvel, but I think this is gonna be in that same vein where give it a year at most, and then it'll be dead, like Avengers is. Is Outriders even still a thing?
Yeah, they're still kicking.
Okay, cool, good for them. They're not gonna last long. Like it just.
No.
It's such a set.
It's
saturated market.
similar to how so many MMOs were during the time of like World of Warcraft before Final Fantasy 14 actually became like the new king. Just how many MMOs would come out and die within a year just because no one was playing.
Yeah, like this looks like you said. We said Outriders. You know what else it looks like? It looks like Anthem, and that's not a good thing. Like,
oh, it does look like Anthem.
Like that's the problem. Like, and as we were just talking earlier with how like Hi-Fi Rush is such a piss off example of how like this is what we're looking for, something different, and yet here's another game that's just doing the same three things that like it feels like it's like 80% of games are doing now, but realistically it's probably more like 20%, but it's a lot in the grand scheme of things when most of the major games are pulling this now. And it just gets boring. Like the only way that these work is you're either pre-established or you do something that's just different enough that it really brings people's eyes in. And it seems all that this game does is, well, look, you're fighting the Justice League in this one. I'm like, yes, but it's just Anthem or it's just the Division again, but just with a different coat of paint. That's not enough. So unless this story is unreal, which I don't think it's going to be, there's nothing else with this game because it's just the same third-person shooter live game as a service kind of bullshit. So like it needs something to set itself apart, and I don't see what that thing is, and I don't think it's coming.
No.
well, I think even like the whole kill the Justice League aspect that they initially came with, everyone's like, oh man, you're gonna kill like no, like they even copped out on that. They're like, oh, they're brainwashed and evil now. It's like, come on, like you're taking.
I'm still okay with that
this.
if they actually did a good job of it, but it doesn't sound like they have.
No. Also, if they're able to kill the Justice Leagues by just all four of them having a gun, like, come on. Like,
That's kind of the big thing too, right? You're thinking like, wait a minute, are you telling me that 4 people with guns are going to take out Superman?
Kryptonite bullets. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm
they
sure
will.
that hasn't been done 1,000 times and never worked.
100%, that's what it's going to be.
I'm more surprised like you're gonna kill the Flash with a gun. He's literally faster than a bullet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's the other thing too
just-
of like
this-
it's the sense of like disbelief too that it's like really like this brainwashed Flash who could easily kill any of these 4 people like that is suddenly just not going to. Like it almost feels like they're trying to pull off like they're just playing with their food the entire time.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't think the story's going to be good, and I don't think the game is going to be fun. So
Nope.
I don't see
Nope.
myself playing it unless it comes to Game Pass, and then I try it.
It's another case of I hope I get to eat crow on it, but I didn't eat crow with Gotham Knights. I don't expect it to happen here either.
No.
I'm curious how long this whole fad kind of lasts before people give up on the live service. Not to say that live service is like you can be successful in live service, but like it's a sink or swim thing. There's no room for mediocrity.
I don't think it's going away ever. It's just a matter of who's doing them. I don't think you're ever going to see Fortnite, Call of Duty, and all those kind of games stop doing what they're doing now. In the same way that like every year a Madden game comes out, the same people come out of the woodwork and be like, don't buy this game. And it just doesn't change. It doesn't matter. Like there are just certain ones that it won't change. I think it's just going to be a case of, does it lessen? I think that's the real question.
Oh, it's never going to go away completely because you will have the cream of the crop who are successful. In the same way with multiplayer, like if you remember the early 2010s, everything had multiplayer. And then eventually people were like, you know what, we don't need it. We're like, God of War had a multiplayer game. God of War, like Uncharted. It doesn't need it. And so, right? So like eventually, like there'll be ones who are like, hey, this is not what we're here for, and they'll adjust. You'll still have multiplayer games. You'll still have live service games, but it's going to be a very neat like the ones on top are the ones that are going to stick around. But like you're not going to have a lot of new. You're not going to have everyone chasing it like you do right now.
And see, the problem is too, like we asked the question, well, when's it gonna go away? Even if it does go away, it's not gonna be replaced by something good. Let's be honest here. They're just gonna find another bullshit thing that we're gonna like a couple times, and then they're gonna do like 20 of them in the span of 6 months, and they're all gonna have stupid amounts of microtransactions in them, and we're gonna be like, great, they ruined that one too. It's an endless cycle. I still miss the days. I wish Guitar Hero and Rock Band were still kicking, but those were just destroyed.
Yeah.
True.
Overall, I found State of Play kind of disappointing. Like I said, with the exception of the VR games, like I feel like a lot of it was stuff announced that we had already seen, so there wasn't anything new there. But
Yeah,
that's just
and
me.
I was fine with it, but like I can understand that people are just tired of it. In the same way that like a lot of these big festivals have been coming out and there's like maybe one or two interesting things in the entire thing and it just ends up being mostly a waste of time. It's at the point now that I'm just like, if there's something interesting, I'll find it on Reddit and I'll watch the trailer and be done with it. I don't need this grand spectacle anymore, which is kind of the reason why E3 is doing what it's doing too. So it's just at that point now that it's like, I don't know that unless there's like the PlayStation experience once a year thing when the big things come out, I don't think any of these things mean it for the most of us unless you're specifically interested in a game that gets shown off. If you're a big Street Fighter fan, you wanted that trailer. Even if it's just 3 characters, you wanted to know that Cammy's in that game. You want to know if there were any new characters coming in. If you're a WB or a DC fan, you may not even care for Suicide Squad that much, but you still want to know that this game like is at least going to be out there soon. Like there are people that are interested in this stuff. I don't think a lot of people are anymore just because of all these different factors, and with State of Play, I think a lot of people too are just like, I'll read the article when it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I want to pivot over. Like I mentioned, this week I went out to get Hogwarts Legacy and Dead Space, and as you guys know, I'm an old man and like my physical games and stuff, and so I went out to EB Games and I went to go get both games, and you'd be surprised. So I went to get Hogwarts Legacy. That game was sold out, and like they were like, yeah, we don't have any copies, and this is the first time I've ever like. You know, you always hear like pre-order, and it's like, why would you pre-order? There's always games available. Like, I've never not had a situation where I've gone to get a brand new game and they're like, it's sold out. But like, I went there and they didn't have it. I went to Best Buy, they didn't have it. I ended up going to Walmart, right? I bought it at Walmart and stuff. And like, the thing I noticed is when I went to GameStop, it was a much better experience going out buying games at GameStop. Like, you've got, you know, the staff are into it. They know what you're talking about. I went to Best Buy and I'm talking to like some guy who's working there. He's like, selling TVs. He doesn't give a shit about video games. I go to Walmart. They care even less about the job itself. And so like the thing I was thinking of is that GameStop gets a lot of shit. Like people bitch about GameStop. They are like, I can't wait till the store closes. I hate going to GameStop. I don't understand it. For me personally, I like GameStop. I want GameStop to succeed. Like I had gift cards, and this is gonna sound stupid, right? But I'm voting with my wallet. I had gift cards for Best Buy. I had gift cards for Walmart. My first thing was to go to EB Games because I'd rather give my actual money to EB Games rather than using a gift certificate at some other store because I want that store to succeed. My question for you guys, and I'll give my thoughts after, but I want to hear what you guys think. Like, why does GameStop get so much shit, and is that shit justified? How do you guys feel about GameStop?
Adam, you go first.
Because the meme of every game being 50 cents is perpetuated amongst everybody. That's my honest answer. Like, a lot of people don't actually hate GameStop, but it's trendy to say you do.
Okay.
I think also with just the fact that, like, I mean, I know people that used to work there, and management treats them like shit. So I think there's that too, but that's any chain store these days.
That's any retail store.
So I don't think that's necessarily a reason. I think it literally is just the memes now that have gone. Because anytime I've gone in there too, like, is it an amazing experience? No, it's just I'm walking into a store, chatting with somebody about games for 2 minutes, and then leaving. It's never been a massively amazing experience. It's just been better than Walmart. That's what it really is. I don't I don't think there's necessarily reason to hate one over the other. By the way, I think hating a store, it just for the point of like, I only like digital now. Why the hell would I want to buy from GameStop? I'm like, okay, well then just don't buy from GameStop. That's easy to do. I basically, apart from buying the Switch, I haven't visited a GameStop in years. So it's not hard to, and you don't hear me every day going on Twitter and being like, GameStop should die. Why is it still in business? Like there's no point to it. I think a lot of the hatred is manufactured, and I think a lot of the hate is also just misguided based on memes and general predispositions that people have. I don't think there's actually like too many legitimate reasons to hate them apart from, I guess they just haven't aged well. They haven't moved with the times. And you could argue that there maybe isn't even a way to do so, to be honest. It may just be a business model as we slowly move into like the digital age, and with things like Game Pass and PlayStation Plus Extra and stuff like that, that just, it's not as easy to make a bunch of money as a physical media store anymore. So there's not a whole lot they can do apart from what I know a lot of people complain about, and that they've turned into sort of a hot topic store because half of the store is merch. To which I go, all right, how many games do you buy in physical these days? And most people will say less than half. To which I go, well then why do you think more than half of the store isn't fucking physical games anymore? It's not hard to figure out the math.
Yeah, I'm like right in there with you. Like I actually love shopping at GameStop. I always, even though I am one of the people that have gone up pretty much fully digital with all of my games, but anytime I'm in a mall and there's a GameStop, I go in. I go in just for the like 10-minute experience of being in there, looking at some games, looking at some hardware, looking at systems that I pretty much already own. Just to kind of be in there and kind of just live in that moment, you know?
You walk through like store after store of clothes and like jewelry and other bullshit, and you see one store and you go, that's home, and you just walk in just to get over it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's 100% why I do it. And anytime I do buy a system, anything like that, besides when I got the PS5 at launch, because it was one of those like sit on Amazon and hit refresh at 3 a.m. kind of things. You can't really do that at a GameStop, but I got my Xbox, all freaking, I think I'm at like 3 versions of the Switch at this point. My VR for PlayStation. Even when the Steam Link and Steam controller came out, I pre-ordered those at GameStop and waited in line with everybody who was getting Fallout 4 because everybody, it was the same release day. And I ended up grabbing Fallout 4 on PC. They were like, listen, you didn't pre-order for the PC, but like that just has like, it's a box with a Steam key in it. So if you want to join everybody here and buy Fallout 4, you might as well, you know, go ahead. There's plenty. So I hopped in and did that too. I actually was there for a physical launch for games, even though I wasn't buying a game physically and just got a Steam key in a box. But I still love it. And I think of those memories and I love them. And I honestly would not ever want to go to a Walmart to buy a gaming console or go to a Best Buy or something. Would I if I like had no choice because GameStop was sold out? For sure. But I will always go to GameStop #1, even if it's not convenient to do so. Because I have a Walmart across the street from where I live, and there isn't a GameStop in Waterdown where I live. So I actually have to go to another city and actually go in there, and I'll do it. And I will every single time. So I think, and I really do think it is also like, it's just the cool thing to do. It's easy to not like GameStop because that's what's going on the internet. I do think there was a bunch of stuff about management that was coming out, especially during the pandemic. But I was at a point where everybody was stuck at home on their phones, just reading about stuff that, you know, what else were they going to do? So it became very popular to hate on somebody having a crappy manager at a retail store, which as someone who worked in retail, had about 30 of those a day. That like, it's just what happens. Like it no matter where you work, you're going to have crappy managers in retail. So I think GameStop, sure, maybe as a company has a couple things with management they probably have like everybody else. And yes, I also agree, Adam, that the store is having a tough time being with the times because, again, digital media, like it's taking away a lot of their product. There's me, I show up for every system, but then they don't see me again for a while until I want another controller for that system or a VR headset for that system. So I think it is like it's tough for them, and I think it's people hate on it because it's the cool thing to do.
They're Nickelback. That's what
They're
GameStop
Nickelback.
is.
They're Nickelback. That's 100% what it is.
See, yeah, like this is the thing I was thinking. Like, I don't think the hate's justified for GameStop. Like, I know people make the joke like, oh, like they're only gonna give you like 50 cents for the game or whatever. But like, no offense, which other store can you sell a product back to them and get some money? Like, no one's gonna do that. And the only other option if you have for used games is to sell them on like Facebook Marketplace. And good luck like dealing with that crowd and not ending up with a missing kidney.
Yeah,
or
you're
something
kind of
like
paying
that.
a convenience fee to go to a GameStop and just get even like $5 or $10 for something. Because it's like, it's either that or you have to hope that some creepy guy is not going to drive up to your door for a $50 game.
Exactly. Like the only two places you can do that is basically EB Game or a GameStop and a pawn shop. And they're not there to give you fair market value. They're taking that risk of buying that game and hoping that they can turn a profit. And if not, they're selling it. They have to leave margins so that they have room to discount it so that when it does sell, they're not losing money, right? So like I don't think that's a justified claim. And like the other idea that they're leaning more and more towards like side little products like shirts and clothing and merchandise and toys. Cool. Like where else do you find that stuff? Like where else can you find a like Fallout 4 shirt, or where else can you get like figurines of your favorite games? Like there's nowhere. Like unless you're going to a fan expo or you're buying it online, there's nowhere where you can just browse. And I've got like some cool stuff from there. Like I've got like a lamp of the sacred symbols across there. Like no one's selling that. Like Walmart's starting to, but like no one does it like GameStop does.
I wish
And
they
so,
doubled
like,
down and stopped just doing like just the basic of basic merch. Because let's be honest, most gaming companies have the shittiest merch because it's just a logo or it's just a character. It's nothing special. I wish that they would get a legit, like they would either buy a small company, like a small t-shirt company, and get a couple of people to design legitimate ones. Like there's a website that I go to called Dracula Byte. I will shill out for these guys because they take gaming and other pop culture references and turn them into heavy metal t-shirts. And you guys have seen plenty on the show where I have my Sonic one that looks like a Slayer t-shirt, stuff like that. Go fucking buy a company and get a couple of designers and make some cool fucking shirts that are your own. So that way it actually, because it isn't, I don't want to go through, like, no offense, I've walked through GameStop and they're mostly like, oh, I don't need a fucking creeper mug. I don't need a black shirt that just says Fallout 76 on it. I want something cool. Give me a picture of like fucking, I don't know, like you can't do it because it'd be other licensing issues, but like I want to see a shirt that's fucking the mascot of Fallout. I can't, what's the thing, like the Pip-Boy, I think?
Boy.
Yeah.
Like get him with like Kiss makeup on. I know you can't do it because it's Kiss makeup, but like something like that where it's different instead of it just being like you're just getting like the free swag that you do if you work for that company where they just give you a free shirt that says Fallout on it. Like I want to see them step up and make it better because I think it makes sense that they're doing what they're doing with merch, but most of it sucks unless you're a child. If you're a grown ass adult, you know where there's so much better stuff. Because you know where to find like Redbubble stores or different shops here and there. Like I said, Dracula Byte, Insert Coin Clothing. Like I have a bunch of different places that I know I can go to. And even just like shops that people just put their own stuff like a Redbubble or, you know, other things like that or like an Etsy level kind of store. There's a ton of other places I can go to where I can find merch that's so much cooler and isn't just a carbon copy like basing like just pasting the game's cover art on the shirt again. Like, that's the only complaint that I really have with their stuff moving to merch is that they don't have nearly as much interesting stuff. Like, there's the odd cool figure and stuff, but, like, in terms of anything clothing-wise, for the most part, they're not that cool.
No, I think that's, like, a very valid point, but, like, what I'm just saying is what, to me, GameStop is becoming is it's a hobby store, right? It's the same. It's no different than your Games Workshop, like Warhammer stores. It's no different than your friendly local board game store or anything like that. Like it really is it's not niche, but it is in the sense that like, yeah, you can go to Walmart, but like this is the only place where you're going to go where you're going to have people who are equally passionate. Like no one's working at EB Games for the money, right? Like they're all there because they like video games. Like you want to talk to someone that your thoughts on like, I don't know, Horizon, like Forbidden West, you go to Walmart, you're not having that conversation. It's going to be like some 70-year-old like lady who's just there to like make her ends meet or something like that. But you go to GameStop and for the most part, they're going to be passionate. They're going to be wanting to talk to you about that. And so I don't know. I'm going to be sad when and if the day comes that GameStop closes. I fully support them. And as someone who is a physical collector, like I hope they stick around, even if it becomes a much more niche thing where they have, you know, box stores here and there, but they're not, I guess not box stores, but like they drop out of the malls and they just have like, you know, one store here and there. Like, I don't know. I want them to stick around, and I don't think that the hate that they get is justified.
I wish that it was possible that that company had the money that they could make bigger stores that could do cool things like have arcade machines in them or have like the just like as we used to think when we were kids walking into a Walmart and having the Sega Genesis there that you could play games on. Like I wish that that kind of stuff could exist. I just don't think they have the space to do it anymore. I don't think they have the money to do it anymore. That time is come and gone, so that's kind of why they've defaulted into the hobby store now because it's all they really have left. And I think that they're either going to die a slow, painful death, or eventually they're just going to say, fuck it, we're done, and just slice it all together. It's sad because I have a lot of good memories from it. Like, anytime that I get the chance to, if I got to walk into a GameStop and just stare at the collection of PS2 games and just keep flipping through the racks because they're all sideways, so you don't get to see the front cover art, and you're looking at it and being like, have I seen that before? And you pull it out and be like, huh, what's this anime cover art? And you turn on the back and you're like, that looks kind of cool. I'm going to spend $60 on this and find out it's a piece of shit anime game. But hey, it was fun. It's the journey of it.
Yeah.
That's what you paid the $60 for, the journey.
The price of admission. Speaking of the of finding games that you may not like or just, you know, unheard of games, let's switch over to the last topic of the week before we get into our untimely reviews. We got announcements as of today, February 28th, time of recording, that Elden Ring is getting some DLC. I think it's called Shadow of the Erd Tree or something. I don't want to go too much into it because I don't think you guys played it and I never finished the game. This doesn't interest me at all, but I want to talk to you largely just about DLC in general. How do you guys feel about it? For me, I don't know. I'm not a big DLC person. Like, I also brought this up because, you know, Last of Us last Sunday they did the Left Behind episode, and I just kind of got thinking about, like, do you guys like DLC? For me, I find I very rarely purchase it. I can think of like a handful of games that I've bought DLC for, and that of those few samples, even fewer of them are stuff that it's like, wow, that actually really enhanced my experience or surpassed my experience with it. So I want to see, do you guys buy DLC? Do you guys like DLC? What's your thoughts on it?
I mean, straight up, DLC I like. The problem is I like maybe about 2% of it.
That's pretty much exactly what I was going to say. Because I'm very selective with the DLC I get. For me, I when I think of DLC, it kind of sucks because, you know, that term is kind of not always great. It's not as bad now because microtransactions definitely took over as like the big bad word to say. But I remember in the 90s, aging myself here, playing like Diablo 2 expansion packs, and they were amazing because it actually was just like you played Diablo 2, you finished it, the story wraps up, it's great, but here's an expansion which adds like another 5 hours or 10 hours to the game, and it actually would expand on what you already did. Like, listen, we know you loved this game, so we've just expanded it. You played 5 acts, we've added another 2 acts to the end of the game. That's about kind of a side story, but will play into the next game, and it's just continuing the story a little bit. And I love those. And I understood them because at no point were people like, oh, why wasn't this just in the original Diablo 2 game? It's like, no, like they built the whole game and people liked it so much. They were like, all right, let's build a bit more and put it out. And it was always a reasonable price. It was like $20 or $25. And the thing is that not a lot of gaming companies kind of do that with DLC now. I know The Witcher definitely did, Witcher 3, when you get
like Blood and
Wine and stuff. Yeah, like
Blood and
those.
Wine's so good.
Yeah.
That's a
And they
standalone
didn't
game in
even
itself.
Oh yeah, exactly, and that's the whole point. Like these expansion passes, which I think even The Witcher 3 called it an expansion pack, not like DLC. Like they went back. I mean, CD Projekt Red, very PC heavy company, so probably
The
just
Eastern
remembered the
European
days
roots
of
in
old.
them.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, like for that, I will never regret buying, you know, Blood and Wine or the Diablo 2 expansion pack or anything like that. Now with Diablo 4 coming out, if they had something like an expansion pass, would I trust it? I don't know. Because is it going to be the expansion pass or is it going to be more, you know, DLC? And DLC usually, for the most part now, is, hey, here's a fighting game, but for $3 a character, you can also buy all these extra characters that aren't going to be in the game. And it's like, you haven't really expanded on the game. You just made us have to pay extra for some of these extra characters. Now, usually I've got to the point where I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'll just play the main game and I won't care about the DLC. And then there's sometimes I'm playing like this theater rhythm or whatever the heck that's called with all the Final Fantasy songs. And I'm like, do I need to spend another $50 to get another 250 songs? I don't know.
Don't do it.
But I'm going to do it.
Don't do it.
I mean,
that's the opposite of what I said.
Oh, you said don't do it.
Don't do it.
Oh yeah, no, I probably will. But that's just because they've got me with what games they've thrown on there. But I don't think that it's going to sell like crazy. I don't think a lot of people are going to buy that DLC either. There's already 350 songs as an example on there. But it's mostly when it's cosmetic stuff. I'm like, I don't need, like, I understand the free to play and it's like, all right, each costume or whatever is 99 cents, like Rocket League now or something like that. Yeah, cool. I'll buy the special cards 99 cents. But even then, I don't like. I've never spent a dime in any of these free to play games. I don't know. I think it's fine. It's there, but I do think it's kind of useless. I guess is kind of what I'm getting to in the end. Minus those expansion passes or expansion packs. Those were cool. I'd love if those came back. They're not really going to come back, and I'm probably not buying DLC.
Adam?
Yeah, like the honest reality is that DLC, like anything else that we have in this industry, can be good, but the problem is so many companies abuse it in the pursuit of profit that for every Blood and Wine or for every Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep for Borderlands 2, for every one of those, there's 200 wastes of your money. And it makes these specific ones stand out, but it also shows that for the most part, it really is just a cash grab on the things that you really like to get you to pay a little bit more money. I love Dragon Ball Fighter Z, or Dragon Ball Fighters, depending on which way people like to say it. But the fact that, like, you had to pay so much money to get another couple different versions of Goku, along with a couple other characters, is idiotic. And it's why I don't generally play a lot of fighting games. It's why I'm thanking God that Xbox Game Pass is going to give me Guilty Gear Strive. So if I want to play as certain characters, I don't have to pay anything apart from a small amount for the couple of characters I'm missing, and I don't feel as bad about it. Because paying a massive amount of money for a fighting game, and then down the road being like, hey, remember this character that you really like from the previous game? I hope you have $5 handy just to play that one character again. And I go, screw you, which is why I never played Tira with the newest Soul Calibur, because fuck them, they don't deserve my money for doing that shit.
See, for me, like, I find that the cosmetic stuff is actually more appealing to me than like story DLC. Like, playing something like Little Big Planet with my wife, or Overcooked or something like that. When there's a costume pack that I can buy that I can kind of personalize myself, and like, it cost me $2, $3. Like, I bought the Mandalorian character set for the Lego game because why not? It was $1.50. I bought a bunch of stuff for Little Big Planet when we were playing that because it was kind of a cool thing that I could do to personalize myself. But when I think about those larger DLC things, like I think of things like I think of Spider-Man, like the PS4 Spider-Man. Amazing game. I don't think anyone would argue that it wasn't, but like that DLC was garbage. Like, it was boring. It felt inconsequential, and like it sucked, right? Similarly, I found with like even Horizon Zero Dawn, like they did the DLC up in the Frozen Wilds. It was fine, but like it didn't light anything on fire. Like, I feel like a lot of times these DLCs come out and it's, they could be for great games and great studios, but it comes out and it feels kind of vapid and empty and kind of just rushed. So like, I don't know, for me, like DLC is not something like I had my experience with the game. It was good. I'm done. I don't want to come back 6 months later. I've already moved on to another game. Like, I don't know. For me, DLC doesn't really appeal to me. There are standouts, but like, I find that there are also older games. Like, I think Fallout 3, Fallout 3 had amazing ones where you're going like different locations and stuff. But like, then they came up with like the Fallout 4, and like that one wasn't as interesting as the other ones were. So like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just a matter of I don't want to go back to old games that I've beaten and play them again, or if the DLC itself just doesn't appeal to me. But for the most part, yeah, I find DLC is not something I gravitate towards, and very rarely when I do spring for it, I end up coming away disappointed. I find it feels emptier than the original game.
Yeah, trying to think about like what the most recent DLC that I really really like, and I'm not going to count Destiny because they're more like expansion packs at that point because it's much bigger than what we consider would be DLC. But I guess that would fall in line with most of the other ones we're talking about too.
Mhm.
So I mean, I would probably go with Destiny, but if I wasn't going with that, God, I wouldn't even know time wise what the closest one would be. Like maybe it's Blood and Wine.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like I'm trying to think of like the best DLCs, and I can't think of a lot of games that like
Like there's a
have
bunch that
amazing
stand
DLCs.
out for sure. Like I've heard right now, if you're watching on YouTube and if you're not, I have like Undead Nightmare from Red Dead Redemption in there. That's a great one. I already mentioned Borderlands 2, Tiny Tina's Assault on the Dragon Keep. That was great. Um, Dragon Age. I'm trying to think of what was the main. I think it was Awakening. I think was the original in Origins. I think that like whichever one was. I'm pretty sure was Awakening. That one was really good. I don't. Do you guys play Left Behind from The Last of Us? Because I know I heard good things about that one.
So I played Left Behind, and it was good. Like like I wouldn't say it was any worse, but like the thing that was really the interesting part was the story itself. It wasn't like the gameplay or anything. Like the gameplay is pretty eh. Like you're traversing an empty mall, and then there's like a shootout at the end. Like it's pretty like it's more of a merry-go-round and just here's some fun stuff to do. But it's not the most compelling aspect of The Last of Us. It's the story that's really driven there.
Yeah, and I just looked up timelines. I think yeah, Witcher 3 is probably the last time that I've had like DLC that I think is truly like really good. Because it's been a while. Like we would definitely have to go back. Like if my favorite of all time, and we've talked about this on the show before, is Mass Effect's DLC. Lair of the Shadow Broker in 2, and then Citadel in 3, to me are two of the best. And I think Citadel is honestly the best DLC I've ever gotten to play because if you're a big fan of Mass Effect, it is as much fan service as you're ever going to get. So if you are a big Mass Effect fan and you bought that DLC, you got your money's worth and then some. It was like the Avengers Endgame to you in terms of it was just shooting as much fan service into your veins that you could hold without passing out. And that's exactly what that was. So many memes, so many inside jokes. Everybody, like every party member you ever had was there. Like everything that you could possibly want in that was there. And that was a great example of what it can be done with. Apart from that, I don't know, like I guess Rocket League having the DeLorean. Like there's not if we're talking like small things, like there's like costumes and things like that here and there, but like most of those to me I don't think have any importance. It's just like it's almost like giving a tip when you buy stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think the greatest DLC you've all actually forgotten is Sonic Origins that just came out recently. All the
How
DLC
could I?
for
Yeah, like
buying
the like being able to
alternate
play it
music.
mirror mode by paying X amount of money.
Yeah, changing the actual title screen or the music of the title screen. That is the greatest DLC, and I think that's what it should be going forward.
History will remember us as fools for not thinking of that game.
Exactly.
All right, yeah. So I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only person that's kind of like in this camp. So
Yeah, no, I think we're at a point now that like what we traditionally know as DLC for the most part is gone. Like we'll see with the new expansion that's going with Forbidden West soon, and we'll see if maybe that kind of changes things around. It'll probably be fine, but I don't know if it's going to be like the legendary status that we used to put on a lot of other expansions back in the day. But yeah, I'd be hard pressed to find like who knows, maybe Cyberpunk's newest one might be good, but
Cyberpunk.
I'd also have to wait for Steam to put the game on 60% off before I get a chance to even play the base game yet, so that ain't happening.
It's
But
your loss, not theirs.
yeah, I think we're honestly at a point where 99% of DLC is either tipping or not that necessary. It's all like compulsory content.
Yeah. Cool. All right, like I mentioned, I am now playing Dead Space, which means that I finished a game. It's a rare occurrence, but I have my first untimely review for 2023, and it's a game from 2021. So, yay! As you know, ladies and gentlemen, we review games on our own dime and on our own time, bringing you reviews when we can, as we can, making them untimely reviews. As I mentioned, this is a untimely review for Far Cry 6. Overall, like everyone goes into Far Cry with their own preconceived notions of what it is, and to be honest, this is more Far Cry. If you've played a Far Cry game other than Far Cry 2, which I feel was a huge departure, you've played this game. Ever since the third one, they've all sort of been the same, and this one is more of the same. But that being said, I would say that this is probably one of the stronger iterations of Far Cry. Having played 3, 4, 5, and 6, I never played the primal one. This one's pretty good. So you're in a fictional country that is Cuba, but it's not really, but just pretend it's Cuba. And you are part of a liberation group trying to overthrow the dictator. So from a story-wise, it's really cool. I like the sort of area they're going for. The villain is amazing. In there, like, he's not in there a ton, but he's in there quite a bit. And it's really fun to kind of watch that. It's more Far Cry. You're going around doing all the same stuff you're always doing, going, causing mayhem. The problems I had with this game were, one, I found that the game was just way too big. Like, I was just doing main missions, and this game still took me probably close to 30 hours. And it was just too long that by the time I got to the end, I just wanted to finish it. Like, I wasn't doing any side quests. I wasn't doing any of the liberation stuff. I was just going through because I was just golden pathing it. Because while I was enjoying it, I did feel like it was too much gameplay. You also have 3 groups that you're trying to recruit towards your cause. And for the most part, I liked all of them. I thought that they were really cool. There was like a group where you're like dealing with some like former rebels who kind of aged, like from like who are like now in their 60s. Compared to this group who are a bunch of like teenagers doing it. And I like that group. There was like a group of farmers. They were good. There was like one group that was like, I don't know if they were trying to channel some like Rage Against the Machine sort of characters where they were like trying to be like rappers doing like the whole protest music and stuff. That one didn't grab me. And it may have just been that it was at the end of the game and I've just burnt out. But I just didn't resonate with that story. I didn't like the characters. Just that trying to like, super cool. We wear our hats to the side. We're super cool. Trust us, guys. Like, it didn't do anything for me. From the gameplay perspective, you've got all your normal stuff. You can kind of go through and you can, machine gun. You can stealth your way through. I ended up just having a sniper rifle and I just sniped everything and then just kind of walked in and cleaned up whatever I missed. I didn't like, so the specs and stuff are all based on outfits that you wear, and I found that like I wasn't using it because I wasn't like going through all the mini games to get all the uniforms. Like, I just got a couple and that was good enough for me, and so I didn't find that there was a lot of customization from the uniform or the equipment that you're wearing. It was basically just what guns am I using, and that was pretty much it. So music wise, I thought it was really good. Design wise, it looks really good. One weird thing, and I was talking I think on the podcast a little while ago about this, it seems like there's some corners cut. So at one point, like if you're playing this game hardcore and you're going through, like you can talk to different people and get like intel. And the thing that was funny is in each region, like there's like one person that gives you intel and they show up everywhere. It's like one area, there was like a girl who had like the side part hanging over and she's like the same person every single time, just showing up in different clothes. And she's like, I've got some intel from you. And I'm like, who the hell are you that you have all this information? Like, it was really kind of lazy in design. So like, this isn't something that's going to set the world on fire. Like, basically, you don't need a review for Far Cry 6. It's Far Cry 6. Do you want to play Far Cry? If so, this is going to be an awesome, this is one of the better ones for you. If you don't like Far Cry, if you don't feel like playing Far Cry 6, there's no reason to play this one. So I think this is really just for the ones who are on the fence. Like, hey, I've played the Far Cry games before. They're fun. Yeah, jump into this one. It's a good one. It's more Far Cry, maybe a little bit too much Far Cry, but for the most part, what they do well. But if you don't like Far Cry, if you're burnt out, this is not going to sell you on it. So keeping in mind the PixelPlay score, 1 being bad, 6 being amazing, and 3 and 4 being sort of that middle, 4 being positive, 3 being negative, I'd probably put this at a 3. It's not bad. It's not must play, but like if you want more Far Cry, this is a good Far Cry to get into. It's fun. It's got an interesting story and stuff. So yeah, I'd say it's a solid 3, or sorry, a solid 4, with the assumption that you want to play more Far Cry. If you're not, it's a 3. So it kind of depends where you fall in that. So yeah.
So would you say roughly like, this is probably the kind of game that if it was like, let's say like maybe 50% off, it's probably like a good purchase at that point?
I got this game for $20, and that's about the sweet spot for me.
Okay, well then more than 50%. All right, got it. So we're looking at like 75%.
And once again, your mileage will vary. Like, I am not a hardcore Far Cry fan. Like, I always like going on that escapist kind of tropical vacation of going to explore something. So, like, for me, I'm not. And like I said, I didn't play Primal, so like it's been a while since I played a Far Cry game. It was fine for me. I'd say $20-$30 is probably like the most I would pay for this. Once again, your mileage will vary. So depending on how hardcore of a Far Cry player you are, that'll determine what your spend is. But I don't think it's going to win anyone over who doesn't like Far Cry. But yeah,
I mean, yeah, I think by the time I get around to that one, it'll be cheap because the last one I played in the series was 3 and Blood Dragon, so I'm very behind. So it'll probably be like $5 by the time I actually catch up and play the other ones.
and honestly, the beauty with Far Cry is that like they are not sequential. You can just jump in wherever. So like
True.
if like let's say for example the Himalayas don't appeal to you, skip 4. Like there's no reason you have to play that to play 6. Like that's actually one of the beauties of Far Cry, and that a lot of game developers don't do, is that like these are standalone things that you like, hey, this one appeals to me, I'm in on this one, I'm out on that one. You don't have to kind of play them all. So yeah, like I said, if the idea of liberating a Caribbean island from a dictator sounds cool to you, cool, go for it. You're not going to be disappointed, and if not, then you're not going to be sold on this one.
You know what I want? I want Far Cry, but on the moon.
That would be kind of cool.
Like
That'll be Far Cry
not
2.
Starfield, not Outer Worlds, moon base. That's it. Just moon base. Low gravity.
Cool.
You know, if you're in the moon base, it's not low gravity. If you're outside the moon base, low gravity. Let's go stupid.
Isn't that just Borderlands the pre-sequel? I feel like you're just describing that.
Also, pretty much BioShock too. Like
Oh
BioShock on the moon.
I mean, you're speaking my language.
I mean,
Hey, I'm not saying it's a bad idea.
I'm okay with bringing BioShock back if it means now. Okay, we started underwater, then we went.
Yeah,
to
that's what I'm saying.
the
The
sky.
way we're working our
We
way
can
up, the
only
only
go
way
up to. Okay, we got two directions. We're either in space or we're literally like in the planet's core.
But I mean, we haven't been going down; we've been going up.
Yeah, we got to go up.
Well, you know,
So we
I'm
go-
just saying. There's only two layers you can go. You can't go back underwater. You have to go further than that. You have to go like underground. You have to go into like. You know, we're talking about like what's his name? Aaron. What was the lead character's name in the core? Aaron something. Oh my god.
You have
Gosh,
put
I don't
more thought.
remember.
You like this is the first time the core has ever been talked about in the last 10 years.
Good. So we're either gonna be doing like some crazy underground like the Matrix level shit, or we're just gonna be in space. And you know what? I'm in for BioShock in space. Let's fucking go.
That'd be amazing. Especially like stepping into a lighthouse and then coming out of a lighthouse on the moon, and you're like, "There's a lighthouse on the moon," and no one thinks that's weird. All right, let's go.
In the lighthouse,
I mean,
no
you don't
one
wanna
can
crash
hear you
into the moon,
Wait,
right?
oh, never mind.
In the lighthouse,
moon-
no one can hear you scream. Yep, that's
The
it.
moon
That has to
is
be
the
it.
the moon is really just Earth's lighthouse. That's what it is. Like, hey guys, heads up! There's a
True.
planet here. Don't hit it.
That's true.
Well, we don't hit
Right.
it, but you know, the universe literally consistently hits it. So
I mean,
We need to
how
start writing the new BioShock game. That's what we need.
I think
to
we
do.
already have.
I think we
That's
just
where we're
wrote
at.
75%.
I feel like there's a little more intricacies than just being a lighthouse in space, but you know, it's a good starting
Well,
point.
You know what?
mean, he'll have a
you're
gun.
talking. You're yeah.
be gun
Like, I think we're
physics in
done.
space.
Let's wrap it up, boys. We're done.
Are we? I thought we were writing a game right now.
No,
we already
wrote it.
did.
Yeah, it's over.
BioShock Earth's Lighthouse. That's what
All
we
right,
call
well,
it.
I expect my royalty check in the fucking mail then.
I don't know. You've been talking too much shit. I don't know if you get one now. You
Damn
think you
it.
talked yourself out of an executive producer.
Can we call it BioShock Space? Can we do that? And get
see the
Tim Curry
boys-
to.
Oh my
We'll have
god.
to get Valve on the phone and ask if that's okay.
Somebody
they're
get a
cool
hold
about
of
that.
Tim Curry. We're about to escape capitalism.
All
Spice!
Exactly.
right. Well, I think that's about as good as. I think we peaked there. I think we're going to wrap it up there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. If you like that and you want to hear more, you could get us wherever you get your podcast or by searching for us on YouTube by searching PixelPlay Podcast. We also have a whole bunch of social media. If you want to interact with us outside of the show, you could do so by finding us on Linktree. So linktr.ee /PixelPlay Podcast. We can find our Discords, our Instagrams, our Twitters, and your Gmail. If you want to send us questions, we're always happy to take I'm in work mode. We're always happy to take listener questions through there. So feel free to email us. And thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. If you are still listening, hey, right below, above, depending where you're listening, there's a little button where you can rate us, and we would greatly appreciate that. Leave a comment if you're on YouTube. A like, it all helps out the algorithm gods that we don't understand, and it helps us out a lot. With that, I've been your host, Kaylan, aka Catastrophe, joined as always by Adam CS Radical and Chris at Gin and Chris. Thank you so much, gentlemen, and we will see you guys next week. Bye for now.